happy Monday. I just want to take a moment to tell you how grateful I am for you. I just went over 25,000 downloads last week, and it was over 1,000 in 3 days. So I don't know what is going on, but I am really excited about it, and I really hope that what I share continues to inspire you and continues to motivate you. And I cannot wait to continue this journey with you. So here's to another 25,000 downloads, and let's do this. Hey, welcome to Her Restored Spirit podcast. My name is Tammy, and I'm your host. Welcome to May, if you're listening to this, in May, and whatever date it is, when you're later on. But we are continuing to talk about values, about our core values, our beliefs, those pesky little things that help us decide what we do, what we don't do. And today I just wanted to talk about how we use our time reflects our values. And this is something that we know, that we know in theory. We've heard it said that you want to know what's important to somebody, look at their schedule and their checkbook, which now I don't know who balances their checkbook, but you know it, their bank account, look at that. But I want to talk about how our time reflects our values, because I talk to so many women who talk about how important time is. This last weekend, I went on a girls' trip with some of my besties, and we had a blast. And time slows down when we're together, and it speeds up. You know how that is. But we sit and we talk and we reflect. And we were talking, of course, about our kids, how they're getting older, and how we only have a couple more years with them. Some people have 2, some people have 3, some people have 4, and some we have ones that are, just started kindergarten this year. So they've got a long way to go. But we're talking about how time is important, how we need to be intentional with our time, and how the lack of intention makes it so we don't, what are our values and how do we want to use our time? And time will be used whether we are intentional or not. Time will pass whether we recognize it or not, right? I mean, how many times have you at the end of the day, you're like, that was the fastest day ever. And then you're like, wow, and then those days that this was a really slow day, but I got nothing done. It's just such a weird concept. And you throw in there that we're so linear and God is so not linear when it comes to time. And I think that adds an extra dynamic. But what I wanted to talk about is just the fact that when we're trying to determine what our core values are, it's really important that we look at our time as well. It's really important that we don't just talk about what our values are. And on this Thursday, I do have a workshop we're gonna discover our core values. We're gonna look at the priorities and what values do we hold personally. Also, we'll talk about how you should determine what your family values are. They don't have to be, a lot of times they're not the exact same thing as your personal values. And then if you have a ministry, if you have a business, how do you determine those? And so we're going to talk about that in the workshop on Thursday. And the one way to get into this workshop is to become a member of the Discover You membership community. And so if you're interested in that and what this is going to do, and so I'll just talk about this real quick since I brought it up, but it is a group of women who I have been working for over a decade on this concept of personal growth and development and a sense of identity. And it's something that I've discovered, and I feel that we're missing as women, is a true sense of identity outside of what we do, outside of the hats we wear, outside of the things that were the expectations. It's who did God create us to be? Now, I'm not saying that all those hats are not incredibly important, but if we're not intentional, we lose ourselves in them. We lose our strengths. We lose our abilities. We cultivate strengths that we don't even know we have. We cultivate skills that we take for granted. And so what I want to do is and what I'm doing is creating a community of women who we can go through and we can discover who we are, why do we do what we do, and how did God make us, and then what's next for us. How do I bring that ambition back that I have in my heart, this need to do something outside of myself and outside of the family and within the family? Because I truly believe that if you really know who you are, if you really know who you are, your whole family and your circles around you are stronger. And so this is what this is going to be years of my education and certifications and searching and books that I've read and podcasts and tons of prayer and contemplation. And this is for you, so you can skip all of that other stuff. So you can have a step-by-step. How do we discover ourselves? How do we know our strengths? How do we identify our fears? And so we know how to react and respond differently to them. How do we create a life that we love? How do we step into our strengths? How do we find our friends? And how do we embrace our weaknesses? This is what this community is going to do. And for right now, we're just building and what it is. And I'm going to build it based on what you need. So it's still in its early conception, but what you're going to do is definitely monthly workshops where we're working through this together. And if you were part of the money mindset workshop, like that was something that was the start of it. That was like, no, this is the answer to, we need to do this together. Let's do it faster. Let's clear all the clutter of all of the information that's on the web. There's so many things. And I know that you've read all the books. I know you've done the Bible studies. And I know that but the thing is when we look outside of ourselves, when we look to what other people are doing, how other people responded, how other people were created, we're missing out on a crucial element. And it's how God created you, which is why it's all focused on discovering you. Knowing your identity is not selfish. It's probably one of the least selfish things that you can do. It is selfless because then you know how you fit. You know what's important to you, and you can grow. And so you can also model this for your kids, because don't you want them to know who they are? Don't you want them to know? How are they really going to give themselves the space and time to discover that if you don't model it for them? And there's a lot more that I could talk about that, but I won't. But so join the founding members, get in now while get in early so you can follow along the step-by-step. And I'm not going to require a lot of your time. I'm going to make it easy. It's about removing things that no longer fit versus adding extra things to make your life better. What if you already have everything you need within inside you? We just need to clear out the crap that's not necessary anymore. What if we need to embrace our strengths and our weaknesses and realize that they're there for a reason? And that is the crux of what this membership is about. So anyway, let's go back to time, reflecting our values. Workshop, Thursday. We're going to dive into this together. So when we're looking at our values, when we look at time, if we're not intentional, if we don't make a decision in advance to use our values as boundaries, if we don't make an intentional decision to use our values as guideposts and we don't use those to help us make decisions, then how we use our time is also not going to be intentional, or it's not going to point to the values, which means that you're incongruent, which means that you're going to have this feeling, this heavy feeling of something's not adding up. That how I use my time and how I perceive my values, they're not going to balance. And and inside there's going to be guilt, there's going to be shame, there's going to be that I know what I need to do, but for some reason I'm doing the opposite. And so that's why I encourage you to look at your time and look at your values. And it's not something like we don't have to do everything based on our values, but we do need to make it a majority of our actions. If family time is a value of yours and you never have like spend time with a family outside of meals per se, is that in alignment with your values? Is that why you're feeling like when you're at sports, you're focused on work or home or chores or responsibilities? And when you're doing the responsibilities, you're thinking about how much you want to be with your kids. And so when we do this, when we look to see, okay, how does my time reflect my values? And we do a time audit, get really honest about how you use your time. And then ask yourself, because you may not even know exactly what your top 3 core values are. But you can say, based on how I use my time, what appears to be my values? If faith is one of your top 3, do you spend time? Do you spend a third of your time or a good portion? Is that one of the top 3 things that you spend your time doing each week? So does a change need to be made? Is there a shift there so you can step more into that value? Could it be part of your everyday life and help to shape what you do versus what you do shaping your values? So that's what I'm talking about. And so how can we make our time reflect our values? Intentionally put things on the calendar that reflect who you are. I love my people. I love my kids. I love my guy. I love my friends. I love my clients. I love my people. When I have too many appointments and creative work. So my creative work I have to do alone. But if I know that if I need creative time, then I need to connect with people first. Because that's one of my, and I'm not an introvert. I'm actually I'm not an extrovert. I'm actually an introvert. So I need a good balance of I love my people, but I also need my alone time to be creative. And so I have to balance that. So I don't get too much alone time, which I do crave because I do need my people. And so I put that on my calendar, which is one reason why like this girls trip was so important. It's been months, probably a year since we've been on a girls trip. I know I've talked about my breakfast club a couple of times before, but to have a group of women who are, we uplift each other, we pray for each other, we support each other, we are honest with each other, and we to spend time. And it's never the same group. We've got things going on. So a few people had family obligations, so they weren't able to go, but we still brought them in through pictures and FaceTime and everything. But that was important to me that I cleared my schedule and I took time to do that. And now that I'm home, after I'm done recording this, I'm going to go and I'm going to spend time with my family. And we're going to play cornhole. We're going to eat some amazing food that my daughter made. And we're going to just spend time together because that's part of my values. So intentional time, look at what's important to you. So time audit, look at how you use your time and then intentionally put things in. More and more, you're going to start hearing the word intentional. And one of the things that I'm throwing around right now is how can I be the intentionally balanced woman, intentionally ambitious woman? Because I am super ambitious and not just in work, like in ambition. And I should have got the the definition, the Webster definition, because it's talking about you want to succeed. I'm ambitious when it comes to motherhood. I'm ambitious when it comes to my work. I'm ambitious when it comes to my relationships. And I, without the intentional part, it can just spiral out of control. I can't stay focused on one area, or I go so deep into one, the other ones fail. The other ones drop off. So look at intentionally adding each of your values into your week. Another way that your time can reflect your value is, well, you can just spend time reflecting. Spend time in this self-reflection. Look back at the week, look back at the month, look back at how, and this is different than the time audit because you're looking at not only how you use your time, but what did you learn? What did you gain? How did you experience the time? When we start looking at how we use time, because looking back, it's always 2020. We see clearly how we can see how God showed up when we look for it. We can see decisions we made, like how it all worked out and why we made the decisions we did. Because sometimes, let's face it, we make decisions and we don't really know the outcome. We make decisions based on the information we have. So it gives us, when we have time to look back, when we reflect on the past week, the past month, the past year, then it gives us that extra glimpse of, okay, what is working, what's not working. And that will just help us to see if we want to grow. We need to do some reflection. We need to see what's working. And also the last way is we get so wrapped up in our own world. If we really want to show our values, we need to do things outside of our home. We need to do outside of our inner circle. We need to step out and we need to be the church. How are your values? And I do know, I'm gonna make a big guess here that if you have a relationship with Christ, your values are pretty darn good. Like you have some strong values and probably some priorities that really matter to you, that it matters if you show up. And if we do this for ourselves, we do this for our family, it's great. It's also important that we show our extended community, that we are out and using our time and we're showing what's important, and we show others how to bring value into our time. Because our time is so valuable. It's our most valuable resource. It's the one thing that we cannot get more of, that we are given the same amount every day. We are given the same amount as our friends. We're given the same amount as our coworkers. We're given the same amount as everyone who's alive. It's the same 24 hours in a day, the same amount of minutes, the same seconds. And when we have the Holy Spirit inside of us, when we use our time to help others, that shows our core values, that reflects our values, it reflects our hearts. And with that, we can gently influence the people around us. We can gently influence, because when I give my time to somebody, it's showing that I really care, that it matters to me. It's great to be able to tithe and and some people, that's their gift. They're able to make money and give money. But so many of us, it's the time that's actually more limited than our money. Our time, and especially with kids' sports, and there's so many responsibilities we have. So how can we show others what's valuable to us by giving our time to them? And that's why I think it's so important that we know, because if we try to help in every way, we get burnt out. But when we're helping in a way that's aligned with us and that we're balanced, we know how we use our time, we're intentional about our time, And we teach others, we show others how to use our time. We're not burnt out. We're actually filling our cup. It's not something from lack, it's something from abundance. It's we can get filled in it because we're not trying to be everything to everybody. We're not. We can't even be everything to our kids. That's not the way things are supposed to be. We're not even supposed to be everything to ourselves. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Like we need Jesus. We need God too to help us there. So that's one way we can show others how our time reflects our values. And so that's what I have for you today. And I would encourage you, come to the workshop. All you do, sign up for the workshop, the membership, because that's where we're going to do it in. If you can't make it live, you do get the replay. So no worries there. But the thing is that if you don't start taking control of your time, it's going to consume you. Time is going to pass. And even as we were talking about how time is passing with our kids and how we only have a couple years left, and there was a mix of panic and excitement and what's to come is going to be so exciting, as well as, well, I I want to do so many things before they leave the house. I want these memories. And it's like, well, we only have so much time. We can't do everything. We can't be everything. We can't, that's not even our goal. It's quality over quantity. And we get to be intentional about that. And so that's another reason why this membership is crucial, because if you want to learn to be intentional with your time and you're tired of trying to figure it out on your own, because we're made to be in community. And there's so much information, so much information. And there's times if you ever feel like, I don't know what to do next, or there's so many things I could do, and I don't know where to start. Start with this workshop. Start with this and come for the month and see what you think. It is like, it's the lowest price it will be. And if you sign up now, your price will never go up. The benefits that I add, which I have several that over the next couple of months I'm going to add, including a membership site, which is being built. And all of this stuff, a community, you have workshop expert guests are going to come in and speak and help with the questions that you have. Like you have something that you want to talk about, I will find someone. If it's not something that I can talk to, and even if it's just like another perspective, I will bring someone else in. I have a lot of friends who know a lot of things and that intentionally have poured into their own education and are really good and creative with some of the things that God has taught them and shown them and some of their strengths. And people that I go to, and you'll have access to them. You'll have access to hearing and enhancing your life in a way like never before. So that's what this is. It's going to be fun. It's light. It's going to be easy. I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you journal questions. It's take you from feeling overwhelmed and anxious and not knowing your next step to feeling confident, to knowing who you are and being able to step out of the house and know that you're right where you need to be. So when you're with your kids, you're with your kids. And when you're at work, you're at work. When you're at home, you're at home, knowing that this whole time thing that is an issue for all of us is not an issue for you. Like it is, you know exactly that you are where you need to be when you're there. And you know the next steps because they're easy and because you realize that the path that you're on, the strengths that you have, and trusting God for your next step is what exactly you're supposed to do. So with that, I would love for you to come to the membership, to come to the workshop. I have a resource for you. So if you're not quite ready for that, that's okay. But I have a resource for you, 5 Secrets to Discovering You. So these are just 5 questions, 5 areas that you can ask yourself questions to start to see, like, do I know who I am? Or is this the feeling? Is this I need to know who I am in order to really step into what God's calling me to do? So that's on my website, tammymurraycoaching.com. It is right there as soon as you get on the page. That first button is where you go. So click on that and get that resource. And I promise you that when you're done with those 5 areas, those 5 secrets, you will know a next step. With that, I hope you have a beautiful week. I cannot wait. I just crossed over last week alone, like in 3 days, we had over 1,000 downloads for so something is resonating with you. Like, tell me what all of a sudden is resonating with you, because I know that, like, again, this is totally everything I do, everything I speak about. It's from either what's on my heart from God, or questions that I get, or just themes that I see that breaks my heart, that I'm like, no, women need to know that we actually can decide our time. It can reflect our values, and we know that saying no to no and saying yes to yes things are so crucial. And so we can know the difference. We can. So get that resource, the 5 Secrets to Discovering You, and reach out. If you have a question about the membership, send me an email, tammy@tammymurraycoaching.com. Send me a DM. Instagram DM @tammymurraycoaching is probably the fastest way. You can do it on Facebook too, but for whatever reason, Instagram's way easier. So do that and let's chat. And with that, choose joy until joy chooses you. Bye for now.